Who was watching the NFL like the past 5 or 6 years and thinking, you know what, we need to make kicking field goals even easier? And like to me, this like I don't like it. This should be about scoring touchdowns. Field goals should be a death struggle. You know, they need to have no idea where it's going. Like, they have the leg, but they don't have the accuracy. Like, I was raised on bad kickers. Where like a good kicker was special.
Heyo, welcome to Heed the Call, an NFL podcast. I'm Dan Hansis. Wednesday, hump day, with Mark Sessler and Justin Graver on the ones and twos. What's up, Mark?
We keep that hump day phraseology going. Outside my window, and anyone that has to do these at home, which is all of us, there is intense, it sounds like warlike construction occurring. And I just thought to myself, like, it's a dump truck or something, or like some sort of construction arm. Like, could I do that job? And more importantly, do other people think that I could do that job? More importantly, do other people see me that way?
To this I say, Mark, choose to live in a war zone. Don't be surprised by the battles, you know?
That is philosophical. To heart I've taken it.
We got stuff to get to. I love it. It's the end-around show. We got a big Thursday night showdown between the Niners and Rams, the depleted Niners. It's a problem, I would say. It's a problem. But who knows? Thursday nights are weird. So we'll get to that game. 2 3-1 teams. What else could you ask for? We will also have our buddy RotoPat, Mark. I'm very excited for this because I love RotoPat.
Yes.
From NBC Sports. Patrick Daugherty, he's going to jump on, and we're going to talk about some things that we, have been bothering us about the NFL season so far, the 2025 NFL season, and what's grinding our gears. And I know that's right up your alley, so get ready for that.
I had to pare down my list, but I did come to some conclusion at the end, and we'll see what that is.
And we'll get you caught up on a little bit of news and fun stuff that's going on in our world. But before that, I don't want us to be some, cynical football show at all times. So I want us to focus on some good things as well. Like before we get into the salt with RotoPat, why don't we start today's show with some sugar? Mainline that into our veins. Get the old diabetes. How did he say it? How did Grimley say it?
If you have diabetes. Type 2 diabetes.
He made so much money off of those commercials.
Yet another pop culture reference that Justin just nothing there. Just a fog. It's a fog of vape juice. You know? Do you know the diabetes reference, Justin?
I know it because of Family Guy. There was a fake Family Guy commercial that used that callback. So there you go.
And by the way, there's no reason you should know
Family Guy did a
it.
nice job catching multiple younger people up on what occurred before they arrived.
Some people would say that's what's wrong with Family Guy, whereas like a smart animated sitcom like The Simpsons would have layers to their jokes, and the writing would be sharp on a certain level. Family Guy would just be like, here's a reference, like a Wilford Brimley diabetes bit. But what's the difference between that and what we just did? These are all
nothing, and it was their show, and apparently it was successful from what I've heard.
Coming up at the bottom of the hour, Seth MacFarlane will join us for the Niners Rams preview. All right, let's share something. Let's share something positive. I'll start. How about this? And Justin, I want you in on this one also. Here's what I like about the season so far. The Eagles are weird and annoying and kind of shitty, but also invincible. And I kind of love it because it makes for good podcasting. Like usually a defending champion, look at the Chiefs in recent years. It does have that inevitability. Like this team, unless there's some type of crazy injury as a defending champion, they probably just have to grind out their way through the regular season. And then they become compelling again once we get to the playoffs. No, the Eagles are not so. And, they're 4-0, right? Including 3 BTWs. That's my Pop the Hood analytics for you nerds out there. Big time wins. At Kansas City, home against the Rams, at Tampa Bay. And if you look at their upcoming schedule, it is well within reason that this Eagles team can get to 8-0 by the time they reach their Monday Night Football showdown against Mark's potential paper tiger, the Green Bay Packers, at Lambeau in Week 10. And by the way, even that sets up nicely, Mark, because they have a Week 9 bye, the Eagles do. So they get to rest up and play on a Monday night. So that's cool.
We see what the league was doing with that one, but sure.
Exactly. And yet, here's some data. Are you a data or a data guy, Mark?
Data.
You always say stuff weird. Data?
Well, no, it's like if you take that New York Times quiz, like many people where I was raised say data, and
right.
You could go 10 miles away and people say data, and then it's
right.
like we're fighting about it.
True. I say stuff weird too. That's just the Northeast thing going on. Even though you're kind of in the hinterlands of Connecticut, no real identity between Northeast and New York and New England. You just
says
sitting
you.
there.
Says you. I mean, I was like a 30-minute ride into Manhattan.
Surrey
by train.
What about Surrey?
Of course, your
Surrey,
youth in England as well.
Wrong. Yeah. Well.
Anyway,
that's how I got here.
Dan, you said
digress.
ruined the other night instead of ruined, which got on some people's
What is ruined?
radars.
What is ruined?
Ruined. R-U-I-N. Ruined.
You kill the I. You kill the I.
Stop it.
Okay.
I'm not to you, Justin. You can say anything you want. Everyone else, shut up. Anyway, the Eagles offense, here's some data leads the NFL. Do you have that tweet? I want to credit the person that had this.
Look at
this from Sam Hoppin. The Eagles offense currently leads the league in 3-and-out rate. Okay, that's a 4-0 team, not typically a stat that you connect to it. Just edging out two teams playing their backup quarterbacks and a team that won 3 games last year and is starting a rookie QB. Okay, how about this? I just pulled up the rushing stats. And the actual rushing stats, not the ones that Mark brought up last week on the preview. Saquon Barkley is 20th in the NFL in rushing. 20th.
Shut up. I know. I heard about that.
20th in the NFL in rushing, averaging 3-point yards per attempt, despite being second in the NFL in attempts.
3-point yards?
3.1 yards. And Jalen Hurts is... Okay, the quarterback. How about that? Jalen Hurts is not 9th in QBR. Not bad. That's fine. But the man has thrown for 609 yards total in 4 weeks. What? Russell Wilson had that in the second half against the Cowboys in week 2. So, and that is obviously led to the A.J. Brown thing. Brown had 109 yards in week 3 against the Rams, but he's had 42 yards in the other 3 games combined. And of course, he quoted scripture after Sunday's game from a book that he may or may not own. We only know we know for sure that he owns one book, right?
That got under your craw, Dan.
Yeah, it's like, come on, save it for the theology podcast. But you better be in church if you're quoting scripture to seem like you're a deep thinker. Your ass better be in church on Sundays. And by the way, as a Catholic boy, can't say, well, football. I can't go to church. You could go to the 6 p.m. mass on Saturday.
If you're Catholic, there were many options. I was not Catholic, and it's like you have to miss the part of an early football game to be stuck in a pew, and that was unrewarding at times.
Justin, look up A.J. Brown's religious denomination. Anyway, so Philly must be winning because of its unstoppable defense, right? Not exactly. They just came off a game where they gave up 2 70-plus yard touchdown plays, so the back end's not invincible. How about the front 7? Zach Bond's a god. But the Eagles have 5 sacks through 4 games, tied with the Bears, Niners, and Cowboys for the 4th least in the NFL. While we're here, the Eagles have an NFL high 4 roughing the passer penalties. No other team has more than 2. So how are they doing this? Okay, I'm not sure, but I have ideas. They are winning the turnover battle. Hurts hasn't thrown an INT is one example. And they're getting a massive bump from their special teams. They have, in 2 close games, block kicks were the difference. And this from The Athletic. The Eagles are the first team since 1978 to block a field goal or a punt on 3 consecutive opponent possessions since at least 1978. And they're the 4th team since at least 2000 to return a block field goal and a block punt for a touchdown in the same seasons. Shout out to Michael Clay, special teams coordinator. So anyway, maybe Nick Sirianni is the genius after all. Maybe they're lucky. Maybe it's Maybelline. This can go either way. Remember, they started 4-0 and 10-1 in 2023, and then everything went to hell. But on the flip side, banking these 4 wins while playing at a C-plus level will be a major problem for the NFL if they actually lock in and play to their potential in these different areas. Either outcome wouldn't shock me, and it makes them extremely compelling and fun for podcasting for the rest of the season.
It's a great pick because it depends what lens you look through with the Eagles. Like, you could say their best players, their stars, are underperforming and they're winning games in ways that you simply cannot count on to happen from week to week. Like, it's a 1978 total outlier that block punts and kicks are happening in a game-changing way that they have. They do it their own way. The weird thing is, like, from another angle, for years, they were the most deeply dipped like franchise in analytics. Like, they really were at the forefront of that with a couple other teams, and nothing about them works analytically right now. Like you just pointed out, they're like on the far end of stuff that you'd think of a team that's 4-0. From another lens, though, their best players are not playing well. What if they start playing well and you get this team that does so many things effectively? Then we've only seen part of their power.
Right.
They are hard to figure out. Like, they're a strange one.
Are they playing the last NFC game of the season in late January, Mark? Yes or no? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. All right. How about yours? What do you got, Mark? What do you like excited? What has like made you happy and given you a sense of joy and purpose so far this season?
I had to last night real quick. I was before bed I was watching randomly on one of those stations that just plays like Family Feud 1,000 times in a row. Yeah. Gilligan's Island was like an early 80s Gilligan's Island versus Batman with Adam West, Celebrity Family Feud. And one of the questions was, what do you put on top of cereal? And my mind is like thinking, well, milk, but then the first answer by Ginger was like sugar. And I'm thinking, like, do people still put sugar on cereal? That feels like something my grandmother used to do with like Special K all the time. But like, I don't, but it was like the second biggest answer back in 1984. Milk was number one, by the way.
I would say, like, yeah, if you were eating Special K or Wheaties or Cheerios, like you put a little bit of sugar on top.
A responsible cereal. Flavor. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, but you're not putting that on your Frosted Flakes or your Lucky Charms.
In 2025, all the cereal we buy is coated in copious amounts of sugar already. So they did that.
They were in the old days too, Justin. I'm just saying, like, you would have the fun cereals and then the responsible cereals, and the sugar was for the responsible cereals to make them fun cereals. This is how it works in that aisle.
Yeah, I ground my mother down, my brother and I, to get at least one sugar cereal in the house at all times. Anyways, for my sugar, I really did think about this. Like, what to me gets me excited to research, to watch tape, to like plan for these shows. To me right now, it is the rise of the Seahawks in a world full of big average. And it's what I love about when you get to between like week 4, week 5 is like stuff's happened, and the Eagles are another example, but like stuff's happened in a way and with results that I did not expect. And the Seahawks I just had out floating in the middle of the league, kind of like a team we're going to have to deal with. Instead, if you look at the work that Aaron Schatz and FTN Fantasy have done, friend of the show, DVOA, and I never use DVOA. I don't care. But like, it is, if you go from the top team to the worst, surprisingly, I could think that it would be 5 other teams. The number 1 team and overall team DVOA right now is Mike McDonald's Seattle Seahawks, which means it's not just his defense, it's the offense, it's special teams, it's everything that they do collectively. And the Eagles are way down that list, by the way. So when I look at what they've done, this defense is growing up in real time. They've given up 17 points, 17, 13, and 20 in their first 4 games. They haven't given up a 100-yard rusher. They hammer the Steelers. They vaporize the Saints, which I get that doesn't mean anything. That 3 other Saints games have been close. And I'm just saying they went in and dropped a hammer, like beat bad teams the way that they did. I like when teams do that. They're 6th in points scored, 2nd in points allowed. And I think in a way, there's a culture thing happening. It's like you want to see a team if you hire a new coach. And this is like to your point of being so frustrated with the Jets on Monday night, Dan, like an epic rant. Like, you got to give a little bit of time to Aaron Glenn. But if you're a Jets fan, you've been waiting for year 3 to pop with any coach ever, and it doesn't happen. We're in year 2 of Mike McDonald with the Seahawks, and I see real change. And I also think the sugar inside of all this is that of all the places that Sam Darnold could have wound up, outside of staying with Minnesota, which would have been perfect at this point, to have him go to Seattle, I think was the perfect landing spot because they're not having him to throw the ball 48 times a game and save them. He is the perfect quarterback for that system that's balanced. And the whole team right now feels like kind of dangerous to me. And they're rising up in our power rankings. They're number 1 in DVOA. Mike McDonald is a good coach. The Ravens wish they had him back. They're my little sugar cube right now.
I like that. I like that. You've joined me and Connor now. That's great. I think we can get behind this.
I don't think I wasn't with you, but I understand.
Right, but you were having your little Packers fascination, and I could feel you pulling away from them. And
I was in a different relationship during that period of time. So
you're poly, bro.
Yeah.
I just want to say, like, everything you said about that I agree with it, and the Darnold thing checks out too. But the only thing as the queen bee of the Darnold hive, is sometimes I push back against, and no, I'm not worried about a curse here because Connor and I counterbalance that.
And I'm not picking them up as a fascination.
That was already established. We landed on Plymouth Rock, okay? For Mark, Plymouth Rock landed on him. You know what I mean? It's different. But I'm saying Darnold, it's almost like people, and this isn't you, but people are like always looking for a reason why, Darnold's playing at a high level, and it's because all these other things are good and he's not that good. Maybe Sam Darnold is just like when a team needs a quarterback who's a good-ass quarterback, he could fit in and help elevate the team, as you see with the Vikings going through it right now. Like, he's a perfect fit because he's a smart system quarterback. Like, there's maybe not as many of those. Like,
but that is true. Like, I think he's a good quarterback. It's not because they're hiding him. I think he's grown and become better. It's kind of like Baker down in Tampa Bay, a good team around him. Like, a quarterback deserves that, by the way. Like, yeah. I don't think we should find out if he's good or not because you stick him on a sinking ship like the Jets,
And Baker's a great example because it took years, but now Baker is just seen as a great quarterback, no strings attached. Darnold, but it took a couple of years for him to get to that point. It was like, it's because of this offensive coordinator. It's because of these playmakers. It's because of this. Now it's just like, no, Baker is actually a badass. Maybe Darnold will get there eventually, but right now maybe people have yet to really come around on it, and maybe he needs to finish the season strong now and have a good playoff. All fun stuff to watch. I like that. I'm pumped about that. One more before we take a break. Go ahead, Gravy.
Yeah, so I've been waiting for this since the NFL introduced the dynamic kickoff at the start of last season. This season, they made another change to the kickoff. They moved the touchback up to the 35-yard line. And I think this has had finally the effect I've been waiting for. Now, I will say I was hoping for like some really fun, creative return looks, like different like play designs for the return game that just add a new excitement element to football. We haven't quite gotten that. But what we have gotten is innovation in the kickoff, which is what I was waiting for. Somebody had to innovate here. We're not just going to boringly kick it off, touchback, landing zone, all that crap. And the knuckleball kickoff is going to become a real thing. There are two teams through week 3 that were really doing the knuckleball kickoff. It's the Rams and the Panthers. And now I have this tweet here that shows the opponent's average starting field position. And as you can see, the Rams are far and away the best when it comes to pinning their opponents deep and having them start possessions deep in their own territory. And the Panthers are second. These are the two teams currently executing this knuckleball kickoff. It's having a real effect because in this new kick return format, any delay when it comes to getting the ball and getting upfield can result in like 10 to 15 yards of difference in terms of where that return gets to. And so I think this is obviously the very beginning. It's a copycat league. Other teams are going to be studying this. They're going to be trying to copy this. Mike Vrabel said before his matchup with the Panthers, one of these two teams, he spent 2 hours just watching kickoff film of the Panthers' first 3 games to see, what they're doing with this knuckleball kickoff and how, what he can do as a team to counteract any effects of it. But eventually, and it may take some time for teams to like get the right kicker in their system. It may take a full offseason. Everyone's going to be doing this eventually. And I think it's going to go one step further. We're going to get sites like whether it's Next Gen Stats or PFF or whoever doing deep analytics on like classify. You're going to be able to go to these sites and look up how many knuckleball kickoffs a team tried, how many regular kickoffs a team tried, what was the average starting field position for the knuckleball kickoffs. Like I think this is going to be something that sweeps the league. We're at the very beginning of it now. and it really excites me because innovation is exciting.
You can feel like a dense and beautiful Connor Orr think piece bubbling up as we speak. I mean, I think the cool thing about it, Justin, because that's it's granular and I love it, is like it's rare that we get a significant rule change dropped on the league. And like special teams, like we kind of ignore it a lot of times, but it's like those coaches are like obsessive. They're obsessive. So the fact that rule change and like the fact that like we're 2 years into a series of kickoff rule changes, like the league is going to have to sit down, like coaches are going to have to sit down and study film and what the right teams are doing about it the best they can. And like, they are going to copy it. Like, it's something to watch where this doesn't happen that often.
And there's another element to it where this is a different thing, but player stats, like we're in an all-time low for player stats through 4 weeks because there are less yards for teams to get because the teams who aren't on the other end of this knuckleball kickoff are starting either at the 35 after a touchback or starting even better field position because they get a nice return out of it. And there's just not as many yards to drive. The flip side of that, I guess, is if you only gain like 10 to 15 yards on your drive after a kickoff, you're punting it. You have a way better chance of pinning your opponent deep, which creates more yards. But there's some wacky stuff going on with that through 4 games.
Yeah. Here is my thoughts on this. Like, there was a great book, early days of ATN, Mark. We all read it. It was The Essential Smart Football by Chris B. Brown. And such a great book, and it teaches you about the game inside the game inside the game. And all pro football really is innovation, and then the attack from that innovation, and then how the other side of the ball counterattacks that. And the league is always evolving in strategy, and you're seeing that. And in general, like, kickers have never been more important in the NFL. Like, over at the Kicker Club, we're currently in the process of putting a second level on the Kicker Club. We're also doing digging right around the property. We're putting in a lazy river. Like, business is booming in the Kicker Club because not only are you in field goal range essentially when you cross midfield now, and how that has changed how teams can score and how quickly they can score and how much they have to succeed and not even really succeed and score anyway, right? That's changing the game with the big legs. I mean, Nick Folk hit a 58-yarder. Like, what is happening? What? I mean, that's another great think piece out there to be written. But yeah, we're just, there will be a counterattack to this, and special teams coaches are going to figure it out. And then you'll have the kickers and the special teams on the other side are going to have to figure out how to innovate back, and it's going to be fun to watch. And isn't it funny that Brandon Aubrey, the best kicker in the world, is the best at this? Like, it's part of the
not funny for other
now.
people, but it's funny for the Cowboys. I don't know one thing about the Kicker Club because we're right here in the thick of it. This is the nights when these kickers would go and celebrate. You've got the building under massive construction, building a second floor and a river outside of the. I mean, could that have been an off-season project, or you decided to do it here on October 1st?
It's gotten so easy for kickers in the NFL now. Same thing with construction. Just green lights, no issues, no overcost, everything is right on schedule. And I've kept, obviously, the main building alive for late nights and partying. So, yeah, everything's under control, but I appreciate you checking in on that.
Why did I question it?
Let's take a break, and then we'll do a little catch-up on news, then bring in RotoPat. Stay right there. All right, we are back. End around Wednesday. So let's end around, Mark. We should do that.
I like the way you put that.
Okay. Nailed it. Broadcasting. That's why we both graduated from the Connecticut School of Broadcasting.
Theoretically.
Neither of us did. But we heard the commercial a lot on WFAN. All right, let's start. Let's tie up this Robert Saleh versus Liam Coen thing because, as we pointed out on the Monday night podcast, Mark, what Saleh said during that interaction at midfield caught me by surprise because I was listening to it in real time on the show. And I was like, I wonder if he's going to get fined or have to apologize, because he literally threatened to Liam Cohen's life. I think his exact quote, Mark, was, "I will f***ing end your life."
That's not something you want caught on mic as a professional, sure.
Right. And it would be a little hypocritical for the NFL not to address that, considering they, are all about bringing ethics and sportsmanship back to the play on the field and all
Yes, they
that.
are.
Anyway, so Bob Saleh, either by his own acknowledgement or being told to at the podium for his little defensive coordinator press conference that they hold every week in San Francisco. You know how it is. It's like
I know.
the
Wheeled them
DC and the OC, they'll get their little spot, maybe, depending on the head coach. I remember Parcells used to never let any of his coaches speak to the reporters, which looking back is like, Bill, these guys would like to be head coaches one day. This is a way for them to sell their brand. But
This is how Saleh got a head coaching job, along with the pumping the fist on the sideline. So, yeah.
And I might also argue to that point, this is why Robert Saleh failed as a head coach, because he kind of is like, he looks the part, but then he's not quite maybe cut out for certain elements of a big chair experience. Anyway, here he is, Bob Saleh, trying to clean up the mess after he threatened to kill a colleague.
No, it's all good. Whatever happened on Sunday doesn't change how I feel. I in my heart, genuinely was trying to give a compliment, and I own the fact that I probably used it was a wrong choice of words, but however you want to word it,
Yeah, you threatened to kill the guy.
They're really, really good at putting their players in position to be successful.
I know what he's doing.
I know he's threatened to murder someone. So yeah, maybe the wrong choice.
Well, he's trying to take the temperature back to when he made last week's press conferences about them observing signals and saying that was the compliment. But what you're trying to do is to fend off the NFL from sending a fine and say, look, we're all adults here. This was a mistake. I was misinterpreted. But it's like, what about the other quote that you made on the field?
So deflection.
I think so, right? Like, apologize before you're asked to. That's
a guy that spent a few years in the wars of the New York media. Yeah, you're right. And trying to avoid that FedEx envelope. By the way, Kyle Shanahan, talked about Kyle Shanahan on the Ringer NFL show with Sheil Kapadia the other day. So check that out. Plug. You only get the plug ding if it's the Titans podcast.
Sheil.
Is that what this is?
Titans. I love it. We're renaming the show.
I picture it as like the Spanish exclamation point where it's upside down in the front and in the back. Anyway, here's Kyle Shanahan. If any coaches could win a fight against Robert Saleh while we're here, and I would not recommend anyone attempts to fight Robert Saleh, because maybe now we have evidence that he will take it to another level. Okay, here we go.
Pretty important question. What NFL coaches do you think could beat up Robert Saleh?
Just me. That's about it.
What about Dan Campbell?
Yeah, I would probably bet on Dan over a lot of people. Saleh's too nice usually, but it seemed like someone struck a chord later. I mean, the other day, but I don't think there's any fights going on. It was kind of comical now to look back at it.
Kyle already looks exhausted, Mark.
Yeah. Well,
is he heading for a sabbatical, you think? To his coaching career?
He's a strange guy. So I could see him possibly, but he's right back in the mire. And also I think this has probably become the beat writer's going to write their fourth piece on this Saleh thing. So he's sort of, it's not even funny to him. Yeah. The one thing that annoys me about this, because we even asked the question, and all you ever do is you pick, it's going to be Brian Flores could win someone, Saleh could win a fight, Dan Campbell. Have you ever thought about one of these wiry brainiacs? If you get 5 shots of tequila in them, you don't you could unleash someone. I'm just saying that if you get a nice Tito's in you, a couple nice Tito's, one of these little, a Sean McVay could go psycho on someone. I'm just saying, you get him in the right mood and you catch a Saleh off guard.
Hey, you don't mess with me. I'm Sean McVay. It's what? Why do you talk like that now? Justin, who wins Robert Saleh v. Dan Campbell cage match?
Dan Campbell just has some an edge, a nasty edge to him. Although Robert Saleh threatening to fucking end your world and end your life definitely is edgy.
He's got an edge.
But is he gonna bite Dan's kneecaps? Dan gets him on the ground.
Okay.
I feel like if Dan gets thrown to the ground, your kneecaps are toast.
Okay, good point. All right. In other news, trust me, no Jets rant coming here, but I will talk about Sauce Gardner just because this was an interesting kind of legal thing and maybe something that we should keep in mind ourselves with what we do for a living. Sauce Gardner was recently awarded nearly $52,000 in attorney's fees and costs on Wednesday for defending and defeating a defamation and intentional infliction of emotional distress lawsuit brought by a Buffalo Bills fan. Here's what happened, Ceci. It stemmed from an exchange last year on Twitter between Gardner and Callie Mariakis, a Bills fan from Mississippi, of all places. On August 20, here was the incident in question. Mark, I'd like you to put on your Judge Sessler robe right now, okay? The honorary Judge Sessler. On August 21st, 2024, Gardner posted a photograph of boxes, a ladder, and construction equipment for a golf simulator. With one of my buddies here in town has one of these things, by the way. Great flex if you got a little extra money to turn your basement into your own personal golf course. I'm not there yet.
Also, if you have a basement, I mean, I can.
Yeah,
I can
it would be a cool thing.
That's, the next.
It's a cool dad move to be like, "Hey, head down to my simulator." Like, maybe we'll get there. I don't imagine you'll ever. If you have a basement, Mark, I know what you're going to do with it, and it's going to involve a fog machine and chains on the wall. So that probably not a golf simulator.
I mean, I don't really know how to respond to that one. Finally.
Latex zippers.
No,
it's going to be
wild.
wild.
Know what? That's probably unlikely.
Probably. Anyway, he posts this photo of the construction of his golf simulator in his basement, and then a reply underneath it. This woman replies, "A simulator to teach you how to not commit pass interference or defensive holding." The next day, Sauce sees this and responds to the post on Twitter. "I'm sure your husband wouldn't like it if I told you DM'd me your OnlyFans link, would he?" To which she replied, "Nice comeback, Sauce, but what a shame. It's a big fat lie." Then she sued Sauce, arguing that the statement damaged her reputation, and since she didn't have an OnlyFans link, something you know, Mark, I know you understand what's going on that site, it was untrue. She also sued Barstool for writing a story on the exchange. All right,
you got a sex addiction? You got a problem with sex?
What is happening on this show at this moment?
A sex addiction or something?
Judge Sessler, would you have awarded Sauce attorney fees for this woman wasting his time with a frivolous lawsuit in a chase for cash from a multimillionaire?
Eye for an eye. What is more important to him right now than producing his career, growing in his career and being a pro football player? He puts something out there that's kind of like a get to know me, which is what the relationship between athlete and fan is at this point in the public. And it's dodgy territory. But if she's going to come out of the woodwork and take him down a notch publicly, and then he does the same to her, eye for an eye. And I guess she's claiming to be the only woman in America that doesn't have an OnlyFans at this point, which is a different case. But give me a break. Like, go back home and do what you need to do, lady. You want to come out and challenge a pro athlete and try to be wordy and mouthy, and then you can't. You come back and your feelings were hurt. Like, what were you expecting? What were you expecting? I guess crickets. Then you don't mean anything. But you get it. He replied to you, which is kind of like you engaged him, and you didn't like the reply when you started in hostile territory. Both of you leave the courtroom. Like, this case is over.
Yes, case dismissed. I think we have a new Patreon show. Finally, in our quick news rundown, J.K. Dobbins. I always love. Same thing happens with my favorite young Yankee, Ben Rice. Speaks fluent. I think he went to Dartmouth. Fluent Spanish. So he'll do these interviews, and then he's this very he's like straight out of Central Casting as like this white boy, and just fluent Spanish. It's like, whoa, J.K. Dobbins, another wholesome All-American kid, speaks fluent Spanish. Let's check this out. This was a post-game interview after Monday Night Football.
Bo Nix, you were able to move it. Primer down, segundo downs, hubo más cadence.
No tengo mucho que decir.
Yes.
Pero Bo Nix es especial. Tenemos que siguiendo con great play. We're gonna keep going.
Oye,
okay.
Anunciaron que un latino va a cantar en el Super Bowl. Bad
Does
Bunny.
he know it?
Yeah, me gusta Bad Bunny.
¿Qué opinas que un cantante va a cantar en español in el Super Bowl? What does it mean that a Spanish singer is going to sing in el Super Bowl?
It means a lot. Solo escucho reggaeton.
I only listen to reggaeton.
Bachata, así que me gusta mucho. Que
I like it
Bad
very
Bunny,
much.
a.k.a. Bonito.
I really like Bad Bunny, a.k.a. Bonito.
El Boricua.
El Boricua.
Sí.
That's
Me gusta
brunette,
mucho.
I think. Boricua, morena. Big Punisher shout out. Rest in peace. Boricua. Is that blonde or? Hang on a second.
He grew up on like right by the Mexican border in Texas. I think that explains what's going on there.
Anyway, Boricua is a native of Puerto Rico or a person of Puerto Rican descent. Let me figure this one out. Anyway, that was good though. That wasn't easy for him, and he didn't have to do that. So shout out J.K. Dobbins. What is it? Does he have descent? Hispanic
He
descent?
traveled to Mexico many times and grew up wanting to learn Spanish. And Justin, did you learn more than that?
No, that was what I determined as well. He has just a particular interest in Spanish, which is cool.
There was a moment where John Sutcliffe, like, he gave a little, right when he started speaking Spanish, John Sutcliffe with the mic, like, gave a little look to the cameraman, like, here we go. Well, usually he's got to, go bend to everyone else, and like they're having a lively conversation aimed at their audience. Good for them.
So funny.
We learned that at the Connecticut School of Broadcasting.
I had a teammate in high school, a baseball teammate. He was our center fielder. His name was Steve, and he's Puerto Rican and still not a player. Big Punisher was a huge hit. One of my favorite hip hop songs ever in the 90s. And at the end of it, there's a refrain going Boricua, Morena. I remember asking Steve, because he was a fluent Spanish speaker, like what that meant. And I don't know if he was messing with me or if he actually didn't know, but he told me it was like brunette and blonde. And now I'm learning, and thank you to J.K. Dobbins, because I never would have known or checked, Boricua Morena actually means dark-skinned woman, according to the internet. So, we're learning things here, Mark. The thing is, as you get older, you have to never stop learning. Have an open mind in other cultures.
That's good advice. Well, even your friend perhaps still has a little more to learn if the internet is correct.
If I ever see Steve again, I will talk to him about this, because he misled me. Perhaps purposely, perhaps by not wanting to admit he didn't know what that meant. Interesting.
A linguistic trick.
All right, let's pivot. Yes, Justin.
Before we move on, Mark, I wanted to remind you, last night we had a really interesting call come into the HTC hotline, and it was specifically for you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've heard this. I knew this was going to come at some point, but Dan, listen to this, see what you think.
Okay. Uh-oh.
Hey there. This is Everett calling from Wisconsin. Just wanted to leave a message there and let y'all know how much we truly do enjoy the show and all the hard work you put into the show over there. Doing a good job. We're also very curious as to why Mark Sessler chose to choose our team to put a hex on. Things were looking pretty good there. Kind of looked like an unstoppable juggernaut, if you will. And then all of a sudden, old Mr. Sessler decided he'd ruin our day over here in Wisconsin. So just wondering what it feels like to be evil. Is basically what I want to know. And because we're all sitting around thinking, gee, kind of feels like our cheese hats have been shoved up our behinds, if you know what I mean. It's not fair, okay? We're not used to that kind of nonsense, that kind of malarkey out here in Wisconsin. How dare you, Mr. Sessler? We're out here bleeding yellow and green, dying of death. We're dying of death. You son of a bee. And I don't mean to be too terribly profane here, but you're a son of a bee. A son of a bee. Thank you.
Midwestern sensibilities there, but someone that's angry with you, Mark.
They are, and I don't often do this, but I think I'd like to read a missive and just kind of address what I think is a little bit, it's bubbling up and I'm not thrilled with it. So here we go.
Go ahead.
To the many hordes of agitated fans dotted along the countryside like directionless ants, I say this. While it might be neat and convenient for you to blame the failings of a sports team on something unexplainable and arcane, get your act together. The idea that the Packers, or Cardinals, or at one stage the Titans, or in fact the Browns, can be hexed because a podcaster covering He-Man suddenly delights in your teams defies logic. Hexes, the stuff of witches and druids, are not the stuff of NFL.com former bloggers. One does not simply put a hex on a franchise because...
All right, we are back, and as promised, one of our favorite people in this industry, Patrick Doherty, RotoPat, NBC Sports. What's up, buddy?
Way too kind. I've never gotten an applause track before. I love that. And yeah, you know, we've been texting. I saw the film, been wanting to see the film, one battle after another for quite a while. And my review is that today, the day after seeing it, saw it late night. All I wanted to do was drive super fast in my SUV with my 2 children in it. 2 of my 4 children, I should say. And it's like, all right, yeah, you know what? You're a suburban dad. You're not Leonardo DiCaprio or Benicio del Toro. You have to drive your Volvo slow. It's been hard. It's been hard coming back to civilian life after seeing this.
We have and I want to get in. No spoilers because I haven't seen it yet. I think Cecil saw it also yesterday. One battle after another, the new Leo PTA joint. But I would like to. So you have a Volvo. Famously on this show, Connor Orr drives a 2016 pre-owned Chrysler Town and Country. Right. Some type of drag race between RotoPat and Connor. Like best dad, may the best dad win. I'm in, and I don't know if we can facilitate this or clear the red tape in terms of legal issues, but.
Yeah, listen, this T6 is turbocharged. This was before everything was like hybrid and all that. Like this thing gets a lot of gas. Like if I put the pedal down, and no offense to Connor, he would not stand a chance.
Ooh,
now, when I use my wife's Sienna, which I do drive probably honestly even more than my Volvo, then we might be talking because I don't know.
Sienna VTNC, a potential battle, but the other Volvo, no chance. Interesting. One battle after another. There you go, Mark. I know you saw it, and I just want to say like. This movie that I have not seen yet is like one of those movies that I cannot wait to see. And I'm just curious. I'll start with you on this one, Mark. Like movies that you waited and waited and waited to come out. And you literally were counting down the days. And when you sat in the theater finally to watch it, it was like, holy God, it's finally happening. I think you and I, one of them we're going to have in common. 2 for me came to mind in the last 15 years or so.
Yeah, I'm going to bypass, because I've spoke about it myself so many times, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which fully delivered. That would be my number 2 in terms of weight, like not happy with what I saw, but weight.
Yes.
And one thing about one battle after another, I can think of one movie when I walked out where I was like, everything's changed.
Whoa.
And it was Pulp Fiction. And I feel that way about this movie. That I don't want to give any spoilers. I went in with no spoilers, saw it at the Chinese Man Theater, and it blew my head off my body. And I'm going to leave it right there.
I thought you said I saw it with a Chinese man. I'm like, we don't really need that detail.
Why does that matter?
Yeah, well, that's always possible. The movie that I waited for, and because it was gossiped and rumored about, and back before internet and at the forefront of internet, little shards of information. And this little nerd who grew up watching Star Wars heard that this, like, 20 years later, prequel film was going to come out. And I was not alone. Thousands of people around my age had waited for 20 years for this. Oh, God. And I went to the midnight showing in Denver, Colorado with like 8 friends. And
Name the film, Mark. What is the movie?
It was The Phantom Menace.
Yes.
We've got the poster up on YouTube. It was The Phantom Menace, and I waited forever. And about 10 minutes into it, there's these bizarre, like, aliens. And George Lucas was critiqued because they seemed very Asian. And it was like a bad caricature of
Was it a Chinese
aliens.
man?
It was not that Chinese man. But right away, like, my friend turned to me, he's like, wait, is this the real movie? Like, because we had been doing beers before, and was like, I don't know. And then it kept going.
Never a good sign.
It kept going.
Are we in the right
like,
theater is a bad sign.
We honestly were like, was this kind of like a short or a joke? But then I left, and I did the thing if you've ever done with a movie, we're like, okay, I'm seeing it again the next morning. Because I know I know it was good. I know it was good. I know I liked it. And then I saw it the next morning. I was like, I'm pretty sure I liked it. And then I saw it like another week later. I'm like, shit, this sucks.
I've done that with many albums of bands I love where it's like, first listen, woof. Second listen, well, that song's not bad. Third listen, now you're talking yourself into it almost out of defense of your own favorite band or whatever. Once Upon a Time is definitely one for me. The other one is The Dark Knight Rises, which everybody knows, obviously, The Dark Knight was the Heath Ledger one. That is the legendary one. But so coming off that, the hype to see the ending of the trilogy, and while the movie was good, it couldn't match up to The Dark Knight, which you made me think of it with saying that you were going again the next day. I'll never forget, I was living in Hollywood when The Dark Knight came out, and we saw the midnight showing right there in what's that mall where the farmers market is?
The Grove?
The Grove. We saw the midnight showing of The Dark Knight at the Grove, and I remember the next morning I was going to the Chase, it was at the time a Washington Mutual on Vine in Hollywood, and a guy was all dressed up in Batman gear. This was like noon, and he was going to the ATM because he had already seen the movie twice and needed more money to go see The Dark Knight again. Movies, man. How about you, Pat? Before we get into our main topic today, what are the movies that you most anticipated in your life?
Well, I know when I was 10, this is not a joke. This is not the one I'm going to go on about at length, but Independence Day.
Oh, yeah.
I saw the laser hitting the White House, and I was like, I've never seen anything like this in my life.
Absolutely.
And
great call.
Had to see Independence Day. The Phantom Menace, by the way. First, I collected all the Pepsi cans. I don't know if you remember this. There
was a merchandise tsunami.
I feel like that has not been matched since. Like somehow, like I've never seen a merchandise tsunami like that. I collected every single one of the Pepsi cans. My parents kept them for a while, then got rid of them when I was in like my 20s. And I was like, yeah, that's fair. Yeah, you should probably get rid of those. But I was only 13 when the Phantom Menace came out. And I really wanted to like it too. And my brother and I were both just like, I think the first thing we came out after seeing the movie was kind of like, no offense to the kid, young Anakin. I've never seen a worse acting performance in my entire life.
Definitely.
Iconically bad. The trailer that had me, 2007, I was a junior in college. This was when I was really becoming like what I thought was like a true cinephile. Loved all the American auteurs like Quentin Tarantino, Wes Anderson, PTA. And then they released like a 45-second teaser trailer for There Will Be Blood, where it was just like one of the really weird, dark Daniel Day-Lewis monologues from the movie. Like, I hate most people. And it's just like just 7 lines like that in a row with like the really weird Johnny Greenwood score. And I had truly never wanted to see a movie more in my life. And it did basically. I watched the trailer and then like the official trailer, probably honestly like over 100 times. Like very, very silly, stupid behavior. But like I got addicted to a trailer, and then I did love the movie too.
Love it. Yeah. That. By the way, can you do the rest of the show in your Daniel Plainview voice?
Please.
I used to one of my most common impressions was busting out the Plainview. It's been out of practice for about 15, 16 years. I'm not entirely sure if I should lapse back into it or not, at risk of embarrassing myself.
Before some asshole on the subreddit's like, these guys don't even talk about football on their show. Let me tie it back. The Independence Day trailer. I think it dropped during the Cowboys-Steelers Super Bowl.
That is true.
In 96. And yes, it is the trailer for me as well that stands above all other trailers. Because it just was mind-blowing. The special effects, even now when you watch that movie, it looks great. It was mind-blowing if you were a teenager in the 90s watching that, or any
in the
age.
90s was like there was a massive Hollywood fetish for disaster films where
There
like
was.
like 2 end of the world films would come out on the same weekend. There was like
Always.
look back at World War II, and then there's like aliens blowing up the White House, which
And that was
maybe should
because of
happen today,
Independence
but-
Day. Like if you look at the next 3 years of blockbusters after Independence Day, everything was the end of the world. Like
Yeah.
Deep Impact and Armageddon came out within like 6 weeks of
Right.
each other.
2 meteor movies.
That's the
And so,
example.
like, you know what's not cool is blowing up the White House with a laser. You know what is cool is a tsunami submerging the entire East Coast.
Bye
That was
bye.
deep- Yeah, that was
Smell
Deep
you
Impact,
later.
one-upping Independence Day.
Problem's over.
All right. Now, with that said, so yeah, we're talking about these things that we're happy about the NFL season. Cinema. Oh, Tinseltown, Mark. What a world it is. The entertainment of it all. But how about things that have pissed us off about 2025 so far? You are the guest, Pat. Get us going.
Listen, the state of kicking in the NFL. And,
Interesting. Okay.
And the problem is, first off, the kicking is too good. Like, this is what's really got me hot under the collar. Also, I will admit this on the show. This is not a bit. It's partly out of like resentment. I have still refused to like actually learn the new kickoff rules. Like, I'm just like, why? First off, like, how are they so complicated that I can't just intuitively understand them? Maybe they're not actually that complicated. But like, why is there like now like have to be a graphic on the television? Like we have like the green zone.
It's an ugly graphic too.
It's real ugly.
Yeah.
And so like kind of just partly out of protest, out of resentment, I've refused to even learn the new kickoff rules. But it's like who was watching the NFL like the past 5 or 6 years and thinking, you know what, we need to make kicking field goals even easier. Like this, the way we now, it's no longer enough to just easily make 52-yard field goals. Now you need to have like Joey Sly coming out, and you have basically no doubt that he's going to make a 64-yarder. And like to me, this like I don't like it. This should be about scoring touchdowns. Field goals should be a death struggle. They need to have no idea where it's going. Like they have the leg, but they don't have the accuracy. Like I was raised on bad kickers. Where like a good kicker was special. And now every kicker, like if you can't hit from 60, you're not even going to make the team. And it's just it's another we're losing recipes. Like kicking is just too easy right now.
This is so fascinating because at the top of the show, when we shared the things that we love, Justin was so excited talking about the kicking revolution that he had to stay seated during the segment. So we didn't get a strike for explicit content on YouTube. But it's good that we have the counterpoint to it, that this is actually bad for the sport.
Yeah, look at what Matt LaFleur did, like Sunday night against the Packers. Like seriously, like because field goals are so easy, he just ended up tying the Cowboys because he played for a field goal like 4 different times. Like, dude, you understand you could have beaten the Dallas Cowboys.
I know.
Like,
we didn't really like dig that deep into it, Ceci, but like Matt LaFleur came so close to wearing the biggest goat horns in a primetime game since Belichick went for it on 4th and short at his own 20 against the Colts all those years ago, which, by the way, now the analytics model like slurps him for. But back then it was like, what an asshole. What a piece of shit. They had like 0.001 seconds on the clock on that last incompletion before the tying field goal. They totally botched the time management of that entire final overtime drive.
I think we were stunned that a 40-40 tie had just occurred, but you're right. Like looking back, that was a potential super dark botch job by the Packers. They're lucky they got a tie.
And speaking of like having to stay seated so not to get an explicit strike on your YouTube account, yeah, I heard from several of you that was a scorigami.
It was.
Go to hell. Like literally go to hell.
It feels sort of like we would understand already that 40-40 is a scorigami. Like we don't need to be told
so,
by
yes.
I hope that brought a little sunshine into your pathetic life, that was a scorigami. All of you. You know exactly who you are. All right, anyway, I'll go next. I fell down a YouTube wormhole the other day, and I was watching a video from a creator. Is that what we call it? I don't know. Yeah. Named Nick Johnson. Not the first baseman that never quite made it for my Yankees. A different Nick Johnson. Although it could be what Nick Johnson thinks.
It's probably the same guy, to be honest. Yeah, it's probably the same guy.
Anyway, the video was titled "Las Vegas is only for rich people now. No wonder it's empty." And if you're curious, here's how that particular video begins.
We will probably never come back again. This is probably our last visit. Las Vegas. Yay. Kinda.
Yeah, so, I love that old lady. Wherever she is, shout out to that old lady. The title of that video pretty much covers it, but if you're curious, here's the Cliff's Notes. Vegas had invented this perfect model where through variety in their business approach, they could cater to both blue-collar people and high rollers and siphon money from all of us. That is until greed took over and they decided to just charge rich people prices for everyone pretty much everywhere. And now no one is going and the whole city is in a panic. And to which my official response, by the way, as an aside to those greedy, money-grubbing casino owners and oligarchs in that desert city, I'll quote Nelson from The Simpsons. Which takes me to the Las Vegas Raiders. Chicago Bears in town on Sunday. And that building is filled with Bears fans. There is no home field advantage for the Raiders. The Raiders. Does anybody know how bizarre that is? If you grew up watching pro football, that the Raiders don't actually have a home field advantage anymore, and how this was all swept under the rug essentially, and we all just kind of moved on. We all know that the Raiders have been a nomadic franchise, but in California, here they've always had juice. The old Coliseum in LA, where I live in El Segundo, they used to practice where the middle school is. They would practice there. They were a Los Angeles team, and they play in that old Coliseum. But especially during their Oakland days, which were, 60s, 70s, 90s, 2000s, at that dump of a Coliseum up there, it was a beautiful, chaotic place. I mean, talk to anybody who's gone there to support a visiting team. Raucous, loud, uncomfortable, legitimately dangerous. The black hole, man. So what did the NFL in its infinite wisdom do? They let them leave California and set up shop in this $2 billion hermetically sealed building that has all the danger and atmosphere of a Donnie and Marie Osmond after party at Harrah's. The NFL allowed Mark Davis to take the Raiders brand and sell it to all those trashy moguls of the strip. And it's a move that surely made everyone involved a ton of money, including the NFL, but robbed the franchise of the grit and the personality that made it one of the NFL's coolest teams. Like, even people that hate the Raiders always had to admit they're kind of fucking cool. They're the Raiders. And there's no solution here. No way to turn back the clock. This is what it is now. Like, I'm not one of those people that just is doomsday all the time about the way the things are now in the world. Everything sucks now and everything used to be good. I don't feel that about everything, although you can if you want to get in that mindset. But this is one of those situations. I'm watching that game on Sunday, and the Bears fans who all dropped 10 grand on the weekend, maybe 20, maybe 30, depending if they got you in the high rollers room. And they're filling that building and they're cheering for the Bears, and there's not a Raiders, there's no juice, there's no energy. And I can't help but think to myself, there is no limit to the NFL's hortastic ways. Here's the latest example.
It's not just a Raiders problem either. Like, they're at the bleeding edge of it, but it's become so expensive. Like, so many stadiums now are like full of like 20 to 25% just like touristing fans like coming to check out. And, none of the buildings, I mean, I guess it's good that they don't feel literally dangerous anymore. Like they did used to feel kind of literally dangerous a little bit, but very anodyne, kind of stale atmosphere everywhere. And I've been surprised at how it hasn't become like a competitive advantage to like we actually want our building to be like intimidating again. Like, I think Steve Ballmer is kind of trying to do that, and the NBA's got some other problems now. But realize like you want your building to actually be an intimidating place to play, and not just like a big like Lincoln Financial ad. But yeah, it's the Raiders have it worse than anyone for sure.
I mean, I think you go back to the argument that if you could move, pieces around the chessboard, it was the Chargers that are identity free in LA for the most part, should have gone there, and the Raiders stay in California. I went to the last Raiders game in Oakland for a piece for NFL.com back then. And like what they really wanted was not a game recap. Like, we don't send Mark to do that. Like, it was just like, go get there at like 7 a.m. As the sun is rising in Oakland, get to that stadium, which was a piece of S at that point, and like leaking in the visitors' locker room. Like, I got to walk all around it, but like, go to the tailgate beforehand And there were people that had been tailgating together for 2 or 3 decades and watched their children grow up. And these people kept their season tickets their entire lives. And like the old Giants and Jets teams, like you pass them down to your son and your daughter. And like these guys, beyond the heavy drinking and what else was going on there, like not a single person was dressed as a civilian except for myself. And when you go into these tents and these cookouts outside, and then you go into the Coliseum, and it was unlike any place I've ever been. Is it bigger than other stadiums? No. Was it louder? Yes. Concentrated, utter madness. And they lost. Carr and the Raiders lost to the Jaguars that day in a terrible way in the final home game in Oakland. And like, you know, there wasn't a riot, but there were certain fans at that point that they were so angry at the NFL. And I'm with you, Dan, because I think the other little thing is that in 1995, you know, you go to any of these stadiums, it's hard to get that many visitors there. Now with the incredible ease of just selling your tickets online, people are dumping their tickets if it's not convenient to go. It's not meant to be convenient to go to most NFL games. You go because it's hard and because your team is what you do on your weekend. And that's faded away for profit and sit home and watch on 5 screens and on my laptop tracking my fantasy team.
Well said.
Amen. It's
Sassy,
very, very, very sad.
close it out. What is grinding your gears?
Mine may be seen as less critical, but this is really on my radar, and it really has been for a while. That when you go back to the classic days of football, and I'm with you, Dan. I'm not saying everything today is bad. I am not a boomer. I'm a Gen Xer. Okay, it's like I'm not coming from some boom territory on this. I don't think it's going to change. I'm not asking it to, but there was something special growing up and watching like Tom Landry, Dan Reeves, and Vince Lombardi come to the sideline in classic clothing. Mike Ditka, look at that. It's something about, I can tell that you're the head coach. Okay, but even we moved into a sweater period a little bit later on when Pete Carroll in khakis and a nice Jets sweater. You've got Mike Shanahan in a beautiful Broncos sweater. Then if you're watching on YouTube, when you move to these, what do you call these? Like puffy new era jackets?
Yeah, it was the starter jacket era.
The starter era jacket.
Iconic.
But these,
and logo athletic.
This to me starts to become, and this is, they were wildly colorful, puffy jackets that like a dad or mom would wear, like shoveling snow. And now they're on the sideline wearing this. And it gave birth to what I think is the next era of this. And it's the era that we're in now. And this is a picture, and you can see it in your mind if you're listening, of Nick Sirianni in a visor and a big sweatshirt, looking like a 6th grader playing basketball in his driveway. Like, that's your head coach. And like, here's the thing. I'm not saying that we have to go back to suits and stuff, but I am tired of my head coach looking like, again, a middle schooler that has been dressed by someone who doesn't know how to dress. And it's like, it's the NFL's like dress code business. And it's all now putting the name on the product, the name on the hat, getting everyone to buy it, dress like the coach. Belichick started with his stupid hoodie, but it's like, I guess for one, I wish if we're going to do throwback weekends and all this stuff, have the dresses, like the dress of the coaches change.
Put them in dresses. That'd be cool.
Put them in dresses. But no, but like, I would love to see like our head coaches in hats and fedoras and suits. And I don't know, I'm not going to win this one.
All right. Well, remember that there was the coach for the Niners. Who was that coach?
Nolan, I believe. Yeah.
Who tried. And Del Rio. Jack Del Rio.
He did. Oh, and Jack did too. And it was just like, it felt like such a try-hard thing. And Nolan, I remember, was like, I'm doing it because my dad is like, nah, bro, you just want to look hot. Like, you want to be hot. So cool.
But can we agree that Sirianni, like, and it's not just him, it's some of them are like, just by the nature, they've found tighter NFL gear to wear and they look a little bit better. But Sirianni is an example of like, what are we doing here? You look like like the 18th guy on staff. But
I'm going to stay away from Sirianni because I don't want this to turn into like, oh, Dan's dunking on Sirianni. This is, to me, Pat, this feels like just a change of the times and fashion. Like the designs themselves now are a lot more minimalist and not as gaudy as they were in the 90s. So the guys, I mean, I don't really get it, Pat. Mark's point, because the guys in the 90s and 80s looked ridiculous in those outfits.
Well, I'm saying we were just moving towards ridiculousness, and we're right now.
But like this angle of and now the NFL is greedy. No, they were selling that shit, and we were all buying it in the 90s and 80s too. It's just the fashion changed, right, Pat?
It changed for the worse. I am a boomer about this. So listen, what I'm wearing today, I'm just wearing a regular collared shirt. This is what I wear every day. But at the airport,
I feel like every appearance you've ever done on our show, Pat, you've been wearing the same blue
this is
polo.
the same one. I keep it. I get it dry cleaned every day. I get a polo dry cleaned, so I could be nice every day. But this is all I wear. This is my uniform. This should not put me in the top 1 percentile of well-dressed people at the airport. Is a complaint I would have, and it's just like everything else. Maybe they didn't need to be wearing suits on the sideline. Blah blah blah. You probably didn't need to be wearing suits in daily life all the time. That was too far to one direction. Now we've gone too far the other, where it's not only do you not have to look nice, it's about being as comfortable as humanly possible. And some standards as a country is not a bad thing. It's not the worst. It was too buttoned up before. Now it's too, I don't even know, unraveled now. And why can't we just find the medium, the happy medium?
Right, the middle ground.
Yes.
I liked when the old days and the coach looked like hell. He had a big fat ass and a male fupa, and he was just dressed in ridiculous, gaudy designs. But that era's not coming back. I think part of the issue, Mark, is the coaches are hot now. The coaches are now, many of them are fit. They are conventionally attractive. It's almost part of the job now. You have to you represent the franchise in a way that the NFL did not care about in the old days. So now these guys care more what they're wearing, what they look like, and you see them be a little more conservative in their garb. Because the old days, Dennis Green and Wade Phillips and all those guys, they didn't care what they looked like because they were just deep in their daddom. They were coaches who were dads, and they just looked like hell all the time. These guys now care what they look like, so it's just there's less chances being taken, I guess.
I think also, to Pat's point, I'm not suggesting we go back to 1971, but my grandfather wore a suit every single place he ever went. The only time I ever saw him, he was in a suit. And it's Christmas morning at 7 a.m. I think this would be a good chance for my grandfather to come down and put even classy pajamas, suit, tie, little pocket square, the whole deal. Christmas morning, it was a different world.
We used to be a great country. This was nice and salty, this segment with RotoPat. Pat, do you have anything else to get off your chest in any direction in life, or you just want to get a plug in? Let's do it all.
Well, no, it tripped me too. I didn't even get to get in my kicking range. Can we please fix the onside kick?
Go ahead, finish this.
We need some uncertainty injected back in the game. Or all about win probability added, whatever. It's all fine. But we need variance again, desperately. Fix the onside kick somehow. I don't understand how it's just been taken out of the game completely. Especially when they're so fixated on the kickoff. How can you not be fixated on the even cooler version of the kickoff, the onside kick? It must be fixed.
That's a great call, Pat. And isn't it weird? Because my son asked me the other day about onside kick, and I was like, yeah, there's no way they're going to recover this because no one ever does because they changed the rules to make it safer. And this is going to come off wrong or unresearched, but that's where I thrive. Do you remember a ton of people going down the opening scene in Saving Private Ryan on onside kicks before?
No,
absolutely not.
And I think they even admit that, but that I think they feel because in the past there was the surprise element with the onside kicks, and they're well, we can't have people confusion about whether or not it's an onside kick. So I always just felt the solution should be onside kicks are not a surprise. Onside kicks are not allowed, but if you declare you're kicking an onside kick, we can have the old fashioned onside kicks again. And I just don't understand. To me, that was always a really obvious solution. Declare the onside kick. No one's getting sent to the hospital when they're running 10 yards at each other.
They created a non-dramatic play that was what they were trying to solve with the kickoff situation to begin with. So, pay Peter to feed Paul or whatever they say.
I think it's rob
Steal from Peter and maybe
Paul.
give it to Mary. We don't know what
more
Mary's up
sense,
to.
yeah.
Yes, I know you want to know what Mary's up to.
Not really. That's not a religious figure. What?
That's not who I was talking about. RotoPat, NFL writer for NBC Sports, and you got to follow him. And as I've said many times, in addition to all the stuff he does, essential reading every week is the RotoPat rankings. It has helped me immeasurably over the years. And is anything else you want to throw in there for people to check out, Pat?
Way too kind. Well, when they're done listening to Heed the Call, listen to the Roto Football Show, and we'll break down fantasy football from more angles than you even knew existed, and frankly, more angles than should exist. But we will do that, though.
Beautifully said. RotoPat, thank you very much, buddy. We'll be right back.
It's always my pleasure.
All right, we are back. Let's finish up the show with a little quick look at Thursday Night Football. As we said, it's the Niners at the Rams, a banged-up Niners team. Feel good about the Rams, Mark. I feel like they're in a very good place overall, a healthy place as a team. The Matthew Stafford health concerns of the summer feel like they're pretty far away now, and everything's where it needs to be. As Tom York once said, everything is in its right place, okay? The Niners, on the other hand, they're the more compelling team to me, Mark, because I just don't know what to think of the Niners. Obviously, they have the injury issues, and we'll find out if Brock Purdy plays at some point. So it could be Mac Jones, could be Purdy. But, man, I'm watching that game against the Jaguars this morning, and I'm like, first of all, Purdy's not playing well in the game, and the team just does not seem to have it together. So we talked about at the top of the show, the 4-0 Eagles. The Niners were 3-0 before that loss to Jacksonville, and they do not feel like a 3-1 team that's in a very healthy place, either physically or on any level.
No, I think they've got to feel very fortunate to be 3-1, because right away in their season, when you lose George Kittle in the opening game, stuff starts crumbling. You're already missing a bunch of other guys, and what they've had to go through since. I mean, I think we don't know what's ahead, but you'd have to say this is a very strong early candidate for their biggest challenge of the season. And I think that makes Shanahan burn, because it's probably going to be, I would take a healthy Mac Jones over whatever Purdy is at this point if he's 70 or 80%, because I'm with you. He did not look healthy or right last week. But Mac Jones has functioned in this offense, but you have to go play a Rams defense that at this point, and it's PFF, if you like PFF, but they have the number one offense in the league and the second defense behind Cleveland right now. They are playing at a high level, and it starts with that defensive line with its Jared Verse, Kobe Turner, Braden Young, Byron Young. That front seven can just absolutely get to people and destroy them. So, what can the Niners do? How do you approach a Rams defense that's singing right now? I think it's like, how creative can Shanahan be with the limited number of pieces he has?
Yeah, I think this has to be, for San Francisco to win this game, has to be the Christian McCaffrey breakout game. Like Saquon Barkley. It hasn't gone to plan so far, like Barkley. The Niners and the Eagles, I should say, like the Eagles. The Niners they have this supremely talented, celebrated running back who has not been able to really find his way on the ground. They rank second worst in the NFL, averaging only 3.3 yards per carry. They're the only team without a touchdown run this season. They are one of only 4 teams without a run of at least 20 yards. And it's not just Purdy who's banged up or the quarterback that's a question mark, whether it is Mac Jones or a banged up Purdy. It's the wide receivers that are banged up. Ricky Pearsall. I mean, it's the worst timing possible to be on a short week, to be on the road against a division opponent and a good division opponent. Pearsall's banged up. Juwan Jennings is banged up. We know, obviously, Ayuk's not there. Kittle's not there. So I feel like the only way to win this game is for McCaffrey to have one of those, like, I can't be stopped games. And I wonder if the Niners, as presently constituted, have that in them, because the whole part of what made McCaffrey unstoppable, beside the fact that he's incredible, is that they had balance to their scheme, and teams had to, defenses had to be kept honest, because the passing game with Shanahan and Purdy could kill you also. But I don't think that's the case. So the Rams are going to be able to sell out against the run, and then they have a pass rush that can get to you without blitzing. And I don't think any of this sets up well. I think the Rams are going to win this game, and I think they're going to win it comfortably. I'm going to go 28 to 13, and there's going to be a lot of questions around Shanahan's Niners after it.
Yeah, I think the questions are, you have to bake in the health situation with any questions, but you're right. Christian McCaffrey right now ranks second in the NFL in targets and third in catches. So it's like, that's how they're using him, because to your point, it's just like, stop him as a running back, and we'll take what we have here with 3 of your top targets not in the lineup. The other thing is, you don't have Bosa. Last note, like, they averaged 17.3 pressures per game with Bosa in the lineup. Last week, weird game, just 5 though. Like how are they going to get to Matthew Stafford? I'm with you. I think the Rams have him where they want him. It's a tough challenge in the NFL on a short week. I'd say 28-13, 28-17 Rams.
Okay.
It's very important. Very important. I adjusted those 4 points there for the whoever's tracking them.
Well, that is very important. And Puka Nacua might be announcing himself as the best wide receiver in football. Justin Jefferson, all due respect, you're kind of in a tough situation with the quarterbacks in Minnesota and their issues on offense. But Nacua is at that place. It reminds me of the greatest game in Rams history, arguably, their win over the Bengals in the Super Bowl, when that last drive where it was like Cooper Kupp, make it happen, Cap'n, with Matthew Stafford, and they couldn't cover Kupp, even though they knew they were throwing it to him. That's who Nacua has become in this offense, and they have one of the better second bananas in the league in Devontae Adams. I just think San Francisco, you're going to need, on the defensive side, Fred Warner to have like an incredible game, maybe come down with some of those interceptions he couldn't quite come down with against Jacksonville, and you're going to need McCaffrey to give you 170 total yards and just be a beast, ride your top players to an upset, but I don't see it. Let's see. Fun. One last thing. Division games always weird on Thursday night. So sometimes what makes sense on paper going into a game, things play out a little funky. So we'll see. All right. Fun show. Thanks to everybody for checking it out. The end around. Thank you to RotoPat. And we'll be back on Thursday with Connor Orr for our big preview. Continue to bang the subscribe on the YouTube side. We didn't quite reach 25, Justin, if I'm not mistaken, but we're close. We're close.
You guys did a hell of a job heeding that call for subscribers. We were almost 1,000 away from our goal last week, and as we sit here finishing up this recording, we're a little over 100 away. That is a ton of subs in a week's time.
Bravo.
So
we're
kudos
so
to you
close.
guys. We failed at the goal, but the actual goal was just to get more subscribers.
Rule change. Push it to Sunday. Let's get to 25,000 by Sunday, and Mark will take off his shirt at the end of the show.
Change. Well, I'll have another rule change coming on that one, but sure.
All right. Thank you to everybody. Sincerely, we love you. Heediness unite. Till Thursday. Heed the call.